Hello, today we're going to talk about vanishing points. In the class a couple of weeks ago, we talked about linear perspective and vanishing points. We mentioned what's called zero vanishing point, which is a scenario where you have no vanishing points at all, or the vanishing points are in the infinity, such as this drawing here. You can only see one side of it. You don't see the other side. So an example of this is this one. It's like a cartoon sort of painting. The next one is two vanishing points. We draw a house with one vanishing point on the left, one on the right, and with the eye line, the horizontal line, which cuts across this person's head to the other side. Now, this is assuming that the photographer or the painter is also standing up, so the eye levels are at the same level as that person at the door there. Now, and 2 weeks ago, we talked about that, and we also mentioned three vanishing points. So when you look at a tall building or a Greek temple, you look up, and there's a vanishing point as well up in the sky, but we don't normally concern that in our everyday painting. And yesterday, we talked about the one vanishing point scenario, and we use that to draw our street. Now, in this example, we have the horizontal line. The eye line cuts through this person's head, and all the other lines, such as the roof line, the floor line, the curb, they all go past that vanishing point or towards that vanishing point. Same thing with the pedestrian crossing. You can see every white mark on the road are also converging into that point, center point. Okay, an example is this painting we have done for many terms. So the vanishing point is there, and if you can imagine, this is a clock face. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 11 and 12 o'clock, and so on. Okay, compositional-wise, this is quite boring. So we would probably change it to another scenario where the vanishing point is slightly more to the side. And this is the one we did yesterday in class. We found this old photo on the website, and it is a tram in Bondi in the 1950s and 1960s. And to help us to find the vanishing point, we have this overhead wire or cable, the tram lines, the curb line, the awnings, the rooftops, and the curbs, and even those tips of the telegraph poles, they're all pointing to there. Okay, they're all pointing to this area. So this area is about somewhere between this tram and this person's head. Now, of course, we don't want to be too precise, otherwise the painting will become boring. So to change, so this is the photo I base on, and just to illustrate how I use linear perspective, I have these lines drawn up here, and I found the vanishing point is about this person's head. And if you have a ruler, all these lines, the tram lines, the line of cars, the awnings, rooftops, and the wire, overhead wire, telegraph wire, curb, and this line of cars, they all converging to one vanishing point, or the vanishing area is probably a better term. So, and to help us to do this drawing, I divide the photo into one third, and a quarter, and a quarter. Depends on what pictures you have. So I found first of all, I locate the horizontal line, that's the eye line of this person, and it's also the eye line of the photographer. So once I draw this horizontal line, I know where the vanishing point will be. It will be along this line here. And to find the vanishing area, I would draw these lines, and they all point to the vanishing area. Okay, and this is how I did this drawing for this painting. So the drawing is essential. The painting is putting color on is the easy part. Of course, this is not a masterpiece. I just used very thick lines just to demonstrate the linear perspective. Okay, so but if you're doing it at home, you have more time. You wouldn't draw such a thick line. You would just be more careful. And today I found a picture which is also Bondi, but slightly from a different angle. Now, where is the vanishing point? So first of all, you find the eye line of this person, of these two people, and the vanishing point should be along this line, okay? And then if you follow these tram lines, you'll find the vanishing point is there, right at where the tram is. And then you start drawing the road, the curbs, awnings, everything as it is towards that tram, okay? Including that pedestrian crossing. You can see those white marks pointing to that tram. So here you go. I would now draw these. So this is the horizontal line, and that's the person's head. So I know the vanishing point is along this line somewhere. And if I draw this tram line, this curb line, eye line, overhead wire, the rooftop of these buildings, the awnings, the curbside, that's the road, medium street, and the pedestrian crossing, white marks. So we have the vanishing point. And from there, we can draw the vertical component of this picture, which is this telegraph poles. And notice that the top of these poles also follow the vanishing line. Okay, so that makes it easy. And this is the telegraph pole, that's the telegraph pole, and so they all go to that point, right? And once this is done, you can start drawing in people, drawing the car, and so on, okay? So the other thing we have to do too is to simplify this. You don't put in every window or every car, you just do it very simply. So I would transfer this photograph into the drawing. Normally I wouldn't draw all these lines, but in order for people to see clearly, I will draw the eye line pretty dark, and that's the person, and that's the tram. Okay, now let's copy this. Let me just change the focus a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to copy this whole photo. Not terribly precise, but I will use the linear perspective method to draw this picture. So as I said, I got the eye line and the tram. Now where do we start? Okay, I'll start perhaps the awning, which goes to about there. So if you find this angle and this, well, it's about 5 degrees. So roughly they're the awnings. And then this is about 10 o'clock. That's the rooftop. I wouldn't even use a ruler. I'll just do it roughly. And then you have this 11 o'clock overhead wire. And you have this 1 o'clock overhead wire. And this is another overhead wire. And then you have these telegraph poles, which is where? Which is about there in front of this person crossing the road. And you can see the telegraph wire is actually got a bit of flex in it. But it also goes there, right? Okay. And then you have this line of cars, which is about there. And the roof of that car is at the same eye line, as those people. Mind you, this is a 1950s photo, so the cars are higher than today's. So and people are shorter maybe as well than today. And so you have these cars there. Cars. I wouldn't draw too many. You have trees here. And you have some hills behind it. Maybe a lamppost. There's another tree behind this woman here. That's the hill continuing. And now I'm going to draw the buildings. I just roughly put those where the spots where the windows will be. And this is a car. Again, it is at the eye line of this person. So these are the wheels. I'm not putting in too much detail, otherwise it will get bogged down with all the details. But the circle is important. Now it is the curb, and then those markers, and there's the curb side, and there's another car here in the shadow, in the shade. So I roughly put one there. There's another car here, but I'll just ignore that. And then the tram lines, which goes to about 5 o'clock. And this one, about 5:30. And then these are the pedestrian crossings. And of course the pedestrian crossing is horizontal, okay? Okay, so the picture is done. And then you put a little tower here, side of the building, with a couple of antennas and all that. And then you have some horizontal cross wire there. Okay, now you can put in a little bit of details, but not too much. And the rest is very easy. You just put color in, and then the job is done. Okay, I'm not doing a masterpiece here, so I just roughly put the sky in. All these sky, blue sky, up to, oh, this is blue sky as well. So I'm doing it from imagination now. Okay, and then I will do the road, which will be sort of grayish color. So I just use up all the dirty colors on the palette. And leave the white for the pedestrian crossing. Okay. And then I have the buildings, and I use perhaps a bit of red. I'm not doing this in layers, I'm just doing a mingling of colors on the page. So a bit of blue, a bit of red, leave a bit of white, and just let the color mingle itself. And then you have this tower here with a window. Okay, now the next one is, I'll use a very dark gray for the shady bit under the awnings of this. Now just bring it further into focus. The thing about this, let's bring this car up a little bit higher. Think about this under the awning bit is cooler, is cool and darker. So I do a negative painting here, which makes those cars in the sunlight pops out a bit better. Okay. Make it a bit darker. And now I'm going to do the trees. Bit of green, bit of green, bit of green. In the distance, maybe a little bit of bluish. Okay, so essentially this is done. So I just have to wait for it to dry a little bit. So excuse me for the noise. This is still very wet, so I'm not going to touch that bit. It's still a little bit wet enough, so just put it in. Now I'm going to use a bit of dark just to do the windows. It's not dry enough, but it's okay. It's not that runny, so I can get away with it. And this is a red car. And I would make this person a bit red as well. Blue for this lady. And I'm going to use neutral tin or black or Payne's grey to do the rail, to do the tram track. Okay. So that's roughly what the one-point perspective is. Okay. Thank you for watching.